is Kristen Obaid. I'm just going to run through a quick recording of a Domo implementation kickoff checklist that I've put together to help improve the implementation of any business analytics projects that you're running at the time. So what is Domo? It's a cloud-based business intelligence and business management tool. It enables instant live access to company-wide data, and it presents the data in an interactive and visual way. So I will go through some of the dashboards in a separate video just to show you how they can potentially work. But at this point, we'll start with the checklist. So why do you need a Domo implementation checklist? Gartner says that 80% of analytics and attribution projects fail due to a lack of clarity in business needs, the business logic, structure, and systems that are in flux, access to the right data in the right format, data cleanliness, and data pre-processing time blowouts. Most of the work that needs to be done on a project like this is actually preparation by the business, but the business often doesn't know what needs to be done, and they won't know who they have to involve before they bring in experts from Domo, for example. Okay, so the first part is setting the project objectives. Which departments will be involved? So will the project be directly for leadership team? Will it be for marketing, operations, finance, sales, or so on? Who will benefit from this data that is being created in the initial scope? And how will they benefit? That then helps you set the project roles and estimated timelines for the initial scope. So as mentioned, all data projects will blow out, and the primary reason for that is because the data hasn't been prepared beforehand, and that means within systems that will be connected to Domo, so the business systems, and I'll put together a separate video on that in future. First, you hold meetings with your executive stakeholders and create value statements. There is a 4D value statement quiz and a template that you can obtain from your Domo account manager. And then you'd want to bring together a list of the most common stakeholder FAQs. So the example I'll be showing in my next video is for marketing attribution. So I've used some example questions from a chief marketing officer. You'd want to go through what the strategic activities are, what problems will be addressed or answered by this data, and what key metrics will be used to gauge the performance, and why. So what is it worth? What monetary benefit will it generate? The next step after that would be defining your reporting dimensions. So this should be based on your business structure, your operational structure. It may include different regions, for example, the departments and business functions that I mentioned before. You could design a reporting funnel, for example. So depending on what you're trying to measure, you could perhaps measure leads all the way through from a suspect to a prospect, to a lead to an opportunity, so on through to revenue in a normal business. So you need to actually define those. There are different measurement frameworks that you can fall back on. A couple of ones I've used most recently is Winning by Design framework. Again, if you've got any questions, let me know about how those could potentially work. But a common design would be suspect, prospect, marketing qualified lead, sales qualifying lead, sales accepted lead, and then potentially closed one or retention. The next thing that you need to do is design a data ecosystem map. So the challenge is all of the data inputs. So as you can see here, this is an example of the number of data inputs that are required just for a marketing attribution project. There's 19 different sources, over 280 million rows, 354 data sets. and 21 ETLs, which we'll go into in a minute. And that's for a small B2B business. So you would design and define where the data flows from and what fields and metrics are driven by that data. Next, you would come in and define a formula for each metric. So once you've agreed the metrics that you'll be reporting on, you would then work backwards and define the formulas for those. You would then locate which systems, so which object systems and fields are required to create those metrics to suit the formulas. And then you would start to pull together all of your passwords for the different systems that you will need to connect into Domo. At this point, so we're about halfway through the checklist and we haven't touched Domo at all yet. So that's actually an indication of the amount of work that's required. And even in the setting up the systems and your business logic, there will be months of work potentially in that, depending on what state your CRM is in at this current time, or your marketing conversion reporting. So yes, that will be quite a lot of pre-work. So just an example of how you could define the different sources and what's required. So for example, dimensions, definitions, data dictionaries, and then after you've established where all of the data comes from, you would start to do a static kind of design of the dashboards. Next steps would be actually getting the tool set up and making sure that you signed up for it. Then you get into the admin training and starting to use the tool. So within Domo, there are admin settings that need to be set up. Group memberships, for example, you would decide which departments can have access to which data. You would then start to set up the connectors, complete the raw data validation. The ETL would follow after that. Then you'd build the metrics, validate the metrics, start to build the dashboards and cards, complete UAT, and document your how-to. Go through your stakeholder communication rollout, stakeholder enablement, and then hands-on user training. So this checklist is very simple. Let me know any questions if you'd like more detail.